35% of cases are going to trial. Everybody else is taking a deal. Doesn't mean everybody's guilty. It means that they're being forced into a deal, feared into a deal, or exhausted into a deal. African Americans make up about 14% of the U.S. population, for those of you who didn't know. But we make up over 60% of our prison population in the United States. So I think that putting those two facts together of our trial rate and our incarceration rate against African Americans kind of wakes you up a little bit, makes you think. Never did I think at the age of 16 I would be a part of the system. I was on my way to USC, as you saw, with a full scholarship to play football for USC. I was 11th in the nation as a linebacker. This was my ticket, my way out. Everybody has a dream as they're a kid and they're growing up in life, where they want to be, what they want to do, how they want life to play out. Football was my calling. It was something that was the first thing actually that someone told me, you're really good at this. And so when I got that confirmation, this was something I held on to. I ate football, I breathed football, I slept with this was my life. One day I'm over here, summer school, and I choose to go to an area on my campus that's known as a makeout spot. I went with this girl who I've known since middle school. We went to the spot, we kissed and we made out. By the end of the day, I was arrested for rape and kidnapping. That very day, at the age of 16, I was taken into custody, and I didn't come home for 5 years. I spent my 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, and 26th birthday behind bars for a crime I didn't commit. I came home at the age of 22, and I was placed on strict custody parole for an additional 5 years of my life. I couldn't live within 2,000 feet of any school park. I had to register as a sex offender for the rest of my life. I had a curfew. No one would hire me. Obviously, I would go into an interview, and they would love my character, my enthusiasm. They felt that I was completely capable of getting the job done. They were always in with that one question. Do you have a record that we should know about? Well, I don't have a past record, I have a current record. I'm currently on parole. I currently have a parole officer that's going to want to meet you upon you hiring me. I got a GPS on my ankle because I'm a registered sex offender. I didn't get to go to college because I spent all those fundamental adulthood stages in prison. But I would really like to be hired. Obviously, that was always a no. The reason I'm here today is to talk about the power of choice. And this is one of my favorite topics, the power of choice, because I think as human beings, if we realize how powerful the power of choice really is, then you can navigate through life without practically anything affecting you. Let me explain. When I was 16 and they arrested me, they felt that the case was so severe, so heinous, that they tried me as an adult. I faced 41 years to life in prison for a crime I didn't commit. There was no DNA, there was no physical evidence, there was no witness. It was simply he say, she say. I had always stuck to my story, but there were 6 different stories against me. And as I continued to go through this process, I realized more and more that I wasn't going to be coming home. When it finally really hit me that I wasn't coming home was the day I walked into court to select a jury. I was going to take this thing to trial and face life in prison. I'm sitting in this holding cell waiting to be brought into court. Anybody been locked up before? I don't want to put your business out there, but okay. So they have me in this holding cell in the back, and before I could even make my way into court to select this jury, my lawyer comes out, and she pulls me into this interview room, and she tells me, I just spoke to the district attorney, and we just came up with this amazing deal. Brian, this is the deal you have to take. Now mind you, the first deal that they offered me was 25 years in prison. The second deal was 18 years, and I believe the third deal was 9. And I had said no to every single one of them because I was innocent. I was going to fight for my freedom. But on this day, the day of jury selection, my lawyer pulled me into this room and said, listen, you're facing 41 years to life. If you go on this 90-day diagnostic or this observation at Chino State Prison, During this 90-day stay, you'll be interviewed by a psychologist and a counselor who will determine on the ladder system whether you receive felony probation, 3 years, or 6 years in prison. Brian, I guarantee you, in fact, I promise you, you will get probation after 90 days. I promise you that.
He did.
But if you walk into this courtroom right now and you select this jury, I guarantee you, you will more than likely have an all-white jury, and they will see you guilty the moment you walk into the courtroom because you're a big black teenager. I was 16 years old, 6'1", 225. And it was the summertime, so I was in the sun a lot and I was dark, so you know. It was not good. So, I'm asking all the questions of why, how, is this the only way? And tears are pouring out of my eyes. Emotions from all walks of life were consumed within me. And I was given 10 minutes to make this decision. To this day, I'm 31 years old. I've never made a decision in my entire life more tougher than this one. Do I walk into this courtroom and plead to a deal for a crime I never committed? Or do I walk into this courtroom and risk my entire life in prison for a crime I didn't commit? I realized in this moment that I wasn't going home. I realized in this moment I had no one to fight for me. At the age of 17, after 10 minutes, I felt that I made the best decision possible, and that was to listen to the counsel that was appointed to me, that my mother paid for. In fact, sold her house, her car, for this lawyer. This lawyer wanted me to take a deal. So, listening to her, I pleaded no contest to one count of rape. They dropped all the other charges. I walked into a courtroom, and my family was sitting in the audience box behind me, expecting me to walk in and begin selecting a jury. And instead, I walked in and I pled no contest to one count of rape. I just could hear my family behind me crying, at the same time trying to be supportive and telling me everything was going to be okay. I walked out of that courtroom, and a few weeks later, I woke up. This was actually July 25th, 2003, the day after my 18th birthday. I woke up in a juvenile hall and was told I was transferred to prison. They chained me from waist to feet, shackled me behind my back, put me on this bus with other inmates, adults, who were being transferred from other institutions to prison. And I remember being on this bus with career criminals. A few guys were in the back hooping and hollering that they were excited to be going back to prison. I couldn't understand that concept at the age of 18, a day into 18. I go through this 90-day observation. They recommend that I go home on felony probation. In fact, they thought that I shouldn't even be in jail. You're in here for something you didn't even do. We can read this and clearly see that you're being wrongfully accused. I hope they give you the lowest sentence possible. I'm overexcited. Yes, I got that favorable report, like my lawyer said that I would get. Now let's get back to court so I can get this 90 days probation, get out, and get back to football. I go back to court after 90 days. I stand in front of the judge, and the judge gave me the high term of 6 years. I had never been arrested, never been locked up, never had a jaywalking ticket, nothing. But on this day, I became a felon. I became a sex offender, and I became an inmate. I walked out of that courtroom, and they put me back in a holding cell before they transferred me back to prison, back to jail. And I remember trying to add up how much more time I had to serve. I had already did a year fighting this case. I was in jail for a year, missed my scholarships, missed everything. All the schools turned their back on me, walked away, my own high school turned away. And on this day, I sat in this holding cell trying to add up how much time I had left. They gave me 6 years. I'm supposed to do 85% of 6 years, and I've already got a year in, and I'm trying to add up this time. But my hands are shaking uncontrollably, and my arms are shaking uncontrollably. My body is shaking uncontrollably. I can't stop. I can't even add up the time. This was my life. course of the next few years, I was transferred from Chino to another prison. And at this point, I became the angriest person that you probably ever met. I was that guy in prison that you didn't want to be. I was that young dude who had a chip on his shoulder. Every negative emotion that you can think of, it was in me. I harvested it. It was mine. Pain, sadness, grief, revenge, frustration, everything. This was my life. For the first year that I was in prison, I was the angriest person in the world. I felt like society had let me down. I felt like the court system had let me down. And when you're in prison for something you didn't do, your mind begins to play tricks on you. There were times where I felt like my mom had something to do with this, that my family had something to do with this, that this was some big joke, that one day my cell door would open up and cameras would come in and say, "Gotcha, just some social experiment. We just wanted to see how you would react to it all." And that never happened. I was angry, y'all. And I remember being in my cell. This is probably about a year later that I was in my cell, and I believe we probably were locked down or something like that, but I jumped off my bunk and I walked over to the small slit in the wall that they call the window, and I tried to peer out and look at the sun. And for the first time in this whole 2-year now ordeal, something dawned on me that had never occurred to me before. I am not in control over this situation. I'm not in control over what I'm trying to be in control of. This entire time, I've been trying to be in control over something that I possibly cannot control. And this anger and this aggression and this hostility and all these negative emotions that are beginning to consume me, it's destroying me. I'm realizing that I'm doing the job for the people who put me where I was. And on this day, I came to some self-realizations. Number one was this: all this negative emotion that I have for the people that I feel responsible for what's happening in my life, they don't even know how I feel. More than likely, they probably don't even care. So this emotions that I've allowed to come in, I have no way of releasing it. I have no way of letting it go. So it continues to overfill me. I had to find a way to let this go. So another epiphany that I had was this: I may not be in control of the things that are happening in my life, but I'm always in control of myself while I go through these situations. That choice was always mine. You see, our experiences never come with an emotion. We give emotion to the experience. We breathe life into every experience that we go through, and how we choose to respond to it, how we allow it to affect us, whether it be an argument, whether it be a disagreement, whether it be bills that need to be paid, whatever it is. None of those experiences come with an emotion. We give it emotion. I have to realize that in a very dark place. I am feeding this situation, and I'm killing myself because of it. I'm in a very dark place, but I'm not a dark person. So, walking out of my cell that day, I said to myself, I would not allow this situation to have control of me. I will be in control of myself while I'm in this situation. I walked out, and I moved on with my life. And the first thing that I did was revert back to a man that I met in juvenile hall when I first was incarcerated. A brother by the name of Mr. Johnson, old school dude, right? When I first got locked up, first 2 weeks, I lost 14 pounds. I didn't come out of my cell, I wasn't interacting with people, I wasn't talking to nobody, I didn't eat the food. I felt like I was gonna be getting out of here. So I don't wanna talk to you, I don't want your food, I don't want your games, I don't want your rec time. I'm gonna sit right here until I get out. 2 weeks later, 14 pounds down, sick and in and out of the infirmary. They didn't know what to do with me. So one day my cell door opens up and this man walks in, plain clothes, I can tell he wasn't an officer. And he comes in and I sit up on my bunk. He comes in and he sits next to me on the bunk and he looks at me and I look at him and he said the simplest words to me. But for some reason on this day, it was so impactful. He looked at me and he said, young man, whatever it is you're going through, you gotta let it go. Let it go. I'm 2 weeks in to one of the, not the one, the worst experience of my life. I'm 2 weeks in, and I got this man telling me I need to let it go. How is that even possible? What are you even talking about? Who are you? He said, trust me, young man, you gotta let it go. I'm a teacher here at the juvenile hall, and I want you to start coming to my class. Now, mind you, I start coming to his class, and to this day, I can't even tell you what the subject was that he taught. Like, I don't know what he was assigned to teach us. But what I do know is when you walk into his classroom, the subject was discovering who you are, that journey towards enlightenment. Who are you? Why are you? Where are you? All of these compound questions that I had never thought about at the age of 16 to 17 years old. He began to feed my brain with different types of philosophies and different types of ideologies and different types of ways of thinking and Afrocentricity and all different types of stuff. I began reading under Molifi Kite Asante and the Afrocentricity and all different types of stuff. He began to expand my mind in ways that I had never done before. He began to challenge me in ways that I had never been challenged. And come to find out, what I realized later on in life, this man was preparing me for the worst to come versus the best to come. And I didn't know that because my mind was so stuck on what I wanted. He was preparing me for what I didn't expect. So fast forward, now here I am in this cell coming to these epiphanies about being in control of my life and finding ways to let go of this negative emotion. And that in turn reverted me back to his teachings. So I got into my own studies, psychology, and sociology, and spiritual enlightenment, different types of spiritual enlightenment texts. I wanted to learn how to speak better, so I worked on my social skills. I wanted to learn how to write better, so I worked on my penmanship. I spent this time, the duration of my prison sentence, bettering myself as a person. I realized something. No one will work harder for you than you. Never. Somebody may give you the plug, somebody may introduce you to the right person, somebody may get you in the right seat, but ultimately it's up to you to execute. Ultimately it's up to you to see that you get to where you want to be in life. I'm learning all these things in a very dark place. Very dark place, right? So I spent the duration of my prison sentence bettering myself. Upon my release in 2007, at the age of 22, I walked out of prison with all the hopes and dreams and admiration of being the best person possible. I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna try to get this scholarship again by going to a JC for a year or two, and maybe I can get a free education, all these hopes. I get out, I get 2 months of what I call somewhat of freedom, and California passes a new law that requires all sex offenders to wear a GPS on their ankle for the duration of their parole sentence. I had a maximum term of 5 years. That GPS thing you saw in the video, I wore that on my ankle nonstop for 5 years. I couldn't live within 2,000 feet of any school or park. I had to register as a sex offender. I had a curfew. Every day when I woke up in the morning, I had to plug this thing into a wall for an hour to an hour and a half, waiting for a red light to turn green. And when I could have the best day possible, I was always reminded by everything that I had been through, because I had to beat my curfew home to plug this thing back into a wall for an hour to an hour and a half. This was my life every single day for 5 years. Can you imagine how many of y'all have left right today? Left home, woke up in the morning, got in the car, took off, looked at your phone, damn, 10%. I didn't charge my phone. If I didn't charge that last night and it went off, back to jail for a year. So how do you deal with all of the negativity? How do you deal with all of these evil things or these things that you don't want happening in your life to be happening? How do you deal with it all? How do you process it all? I get that question a lot. And to be honest, there really is no answer to it. I can tell you what I did. The first thing I did was, I got back to trying to discover who I was. Knowing my truth. Knowing that no matter what anyone said about me or accused me of, I knew who I was. I had had to hang on to that, because if I didn't have that, I'd had nothing. So, fast forward, and I just want to finish my story before I get on a few other things. Fast forward, I do 5 years of parole. During that 5-year term, about 4 years into the 5 years, I'm online looking for a job, trying to do the best that I can and make the best out of the worst situation. And I'm looking on all the different job sites, putting in applications and whatnot. I get bored, and so I get on Facebook. I noticed I had a friend request, so I click on this friend request. The box drops down, and it's the girl who had accused me of raping her 9 years ago. Now requesting me on Facebook to be my friend. Right? Always let the crowd breathe a little bit when I say that word. You gotta talk, man.
That's good.
So, no, I didn't accept the friend request. You were wondering. What I remember doing is I remember slamming my laptop down and throwing it across the bed. I was so shocked at what I just saw. I remember being fixated, looking out the window like I had this out-of-body experience where I wasn't even on Earth at this point in time. The world could have been coming to an end, I wouldn't even know. What did I just see? Is this really her? Of course, I didn't think it was her. I thought somebody was playing some kind of sick game, making a fake account, trying to mess with me. So instead of accepting the request, I stood up and got on my knees and I prayed to God. And I said, God, listen, I don't know if this is her. I don't know if it's a fake account, but I'm asking you to please help me play my cards right. Amen. And when I stood up, I knew exactly what I had to do. It was like as if God gave me an answer. I won't go crazy about that, but I was going to make contact with this account.
Yep.
Now, mind you, me coming in contact with her was an automatic violation of parole.
Yeah.
Sent back to prison for probably 2 years. But I was also told that if there was ever a chance of me getting my life back and proving my innocence, it would have to be her recanting her story. So I reached out to this Facebook page and I sent a simple message. I said, why would you friend request me? That was it. Why would you friend request me? And the response that came back literally within 1 minute was, I was hoping we can allow bygones to be bygones.
What?
I was immature back in the day, but I can assure you I'm very much mature today. So I responded back, because I still don't think it's her. Would you mind calling me? Put a phone number there. Within about another minute, my phone was ringing. I answered the phone, and it was her. And for a few minutes, we literally sat in silence. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if I should talk, hang up, say how I really feel. I didn't know what to do. But I broke the silence and I said again, why would you friend request me? She began to make a long story short, she was very flirty and wanted to hang out as if nothing had ever happened. So of course, instead of flashing and going crazy, I had to play chess and not checkers, right? I knew this was an opportunity to prove my innocence. So I had to put priority before what I really wanted to
Call your lawyer.
And I say that to try and put a little bug in you guys' ear, a little thing in your head. And sometimes you want to just lash out and react at things. You just got to play chess and not checkers. Right? Biggest moment in my life. So I devised an opportunity for the two of us to come together face to face to meet, which she was gladly willing to do. It was at a private investigation firm that she did not know. She thought I was at work, coming to visit me on a lunch break. And she showed up, and actually she showed up 2 days in a row, and over the course of 2 days, admitted that she lied about everything. And we got everything on tape. So I took this tape, and what's funny is I waved this thing around. I was like, this is the holy grail. This is it. I should be getting out. All I got to do is take this to the judge, and I should be free. And it wasn't that simple.
No, it's not.
it took an additional year to fight this case. The judge could have dismissed this evidence and said you still have the proof to, the burden to show proof. But this video was so undeniable. You couldn't deny what she was saying, how she laughed about it, the carelessness of how she talked about what really happened. A year later, after fighting this case, my appeal, May 24, 2012, I walked into a courtroom and I walked out a free man. Finally exonerated and free to be me. In fact, I was found factually innocent, which is almost impossible for most cases of wrongful conviction. They typically will let you go on time served or reduce charge, or they may try to come back after you so to keep the case open. In my case, they were like, yo, you're innocent. You really got done dirty. So here I am free, right? You saw in the video, I have my head on the table and I'm crying, I'm shaking uncontrollably. But really, I wasn't crying at all. I dropped my head to the table and my eyes were as wide as they could ever be. My body began shaking. I felt like life was being restored into my every crevices of my body. I was being given life all over again. I walked out of that courtroom and there were a sea of cameras and reporters in front, and they said to me, now that you're free, what are you gonna do now? And I love that question because I knew that question would come one day. I knew that question would come a year ago when I first started fighting my case. And so I asked myself a year ago, if you get your life back, then that means you have a small window of opportunity. And if you have a small window of opportunity, what are you going to do with it when it presents itself? No one's going to work hard for you. Sometimes you have to beat where you want to be. You got to beat it by getting ahead of it before it can even get to you. So I asked myself, what would I want to do? And the first thing that popped in my head was football. This was a dream that was taken away, literally stripped away from me. I wanted it back. And so I walked my butt into a gym one day, a year before I was exonerated, when the Innocence Project took my case. I walked into a gym, 30 pounds overweight, out of shape, and within 2.5 months, I was in the best shape of my life. No promises, no guarantees. I hadn't talked to an agent, I hadn't talked to a player, I hadn't talked to a coach, I hadn't talked to nobody. This was literally a dream that I kept to myself in the hopes that I get an opportunity to display what I've been working on. So here I am in front of the sea of reporters, and they said, what do you want to do next? I said, I want to play football. If there's a team out there willing to give me a shot, give me one. I guarantee you I'll outwork anybody on your team. Next day I get a phone call, it's this coach on the phone. And I say, hello? And the coach goes, yeah, I'm looking for a linebacker. You know where I can find one? I said, yeah, you got the right number, but like, who is this? It's Coach Carroll, Pete Carroll. Same coach who recruited me when I was in high school when he was at USC. Here we were 10 years later doing this recruiting dance all over again. And he kept it all the way 100. He said, Banks, I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea. You've been out the game 10 years, you probably can't do shit. His exact word. I was like, damn, coach. Good to talk to you too. He said, but you know what? I know how hard you worked back in the day. I know how strong you are because you're still here today. And so I want to give you an opportunity. Are you in shape? When he asked me that, it was like I wanted to laugh because I knew I was in shape. Because I had started training a year ago for this opportunity. And I thought about the alternative. What if I never worked out? What if I never pre-planned this? Banks, you in shape? No, coach, but click. Opportunity gone. Right? That's what life is all about. Sometimes we have to anticipate things that we want in life. See, life is this big. But what we want in life and what we desire in life is this big. And so we tend to become so occupied with this that we forget about all this. All the things that could happen in life, that may happen in life, that more than likely will happen in life. We don't see it because we're too focused on a nice house, a good relationship, money, travel the world, kids one day, some of y'all, you know. How do we focus on the things that we want to have happen in life, the things that we want to obtain in life, while still being aware of all the other opportunities, obstacles, and things that could come down into our life? We have to always be consciously aware that life isn't just what we want, but it's also what we don't want. Most times in life, you will be more disappointed than you will be satisfied. And that's because there are more unsatisfying things that can happen in your life than the things that you want to have happen in your life. This is life. It's not even a test. Sorry for some of you who go, God is testing me. I really don't think he is. I think you're simply just going through life. And life is. I don't think God was testing me when he said, let me put you in prison for 5 years and then give you another 10 years on parole. This is one big old test. Let's just see how you do.
Right.
Humans did that.
Yes.
People did that.
Yes.
Christians in here, anybody? Anybody ever try to use the scenario where, why are you a Christian when it was forced on you when you was black, and it was forced on blacks as slaves and so forth? Anybody ever heard that theory? Yeah. Somebody said that theory to me one day, and before I could respond, somebody else cut me off, and he said, don't ever judge a religion based on how a man chose to use it. I can't judge people on the account of a few. I can't judge life on the account of a few experiences. Right? I am the sum total of my human life experience. Who I am today is a result of everything that I've experienced in my life today, the good and the bad. So there's no way that I can possibly thank God for the good stuff and question him on the bad. Because all of it is life itself. And we have to appreciate it all. The good things and the bad, the things we want and what we don't want, right? So, are you in shape? Yeah, I'm in shape. Good, because we're flying you out tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. That's how the NFL works. So if I was lying about being in shape, you're going to find out the next day. I go out to Seattle, I try out, they were blown away. They saw things that they didn't think I could do after 10 years of not playing the game, after never playing college football. They invited me back to training camp, I do training camp, they didn't sign me. They said, you physically are prepared, but you mentally need to get more into this professional style of football. So I went on and tried a few other teams before signing with the Atlanta Falcons, right out here. Got an opportunity to play a few games before Atlanta decided to let me go. I was one of the oldest rookies to ever play in the NFL. I was 28 years old the first day I walked into training camp. And I was competing with the young ones who eventually beat me out, right? But I never said that I would win a Super Bowl. I never said that I would start, lead a team. I never said that I would make a career out of football. I was just going to recapture a dream that was taken away from me.
Yes.
I was going to get what was mine. Nobody would work harder for you than you, right? So even if it was one game or 10, I did that. I got it back. So I experienced the NFL. It was an amazing moment. I had a great time. And soon after, I received a bigger call. And that was to share my story and travel around the country. Look, the power of choice. If you learn how to use it to your benefit, you will not be moved. You will not be moved, I tell you. It's not what we go through, but how we allow it to affect us. It's not the experience, but the emotion that we give to that experience. And every decision comes with a choice beforehand. So imagine if you master the art of choice, you also master the art of decision making. How to control your emotions, of your patience, the will to understand more about yourself and about life. We're going to go through things in life that we just are so not wanting to go through, but it is life. And we will see a lot of injustice and a lot of unfairness as we go through the process. I'm not sure if some of you know who I am or recently saw a CNN interview I did about the Brock Turner story. The young white American guy from Stanford who raped a girl behind a dumpster and was caught in the act and ran and was literally chased down on foot by other people to capture him so that he could face his wrongdoing. This man was caught in the act, was given 6 months, and was out in 3 months on good time. There was no evidence on me whatsoever. There was no witness. There was nothing. But it was enough to try me as an adult, and it was enough to put me in jail for 6 years at the age of 16. So I bring that up because we also have to be consciously aware of where we are and what's happening around us, and what ultimately what happens around us is what could happen to us. There is no fair sentencing. There is no equal sentencing.
Right.
You'll see that as you go through life, that things are not fair, right? But I look at things totally different. I guess prison may have put the zero tolerance kind of mentality into my head. I'm not sure what it is. But the way I look at things is simply this. I don't want to disappoint some of you. But I look at it like this. We spend too much time complaining about certain things, but we need to be forward thinking, progressive. We got a lot of historians and not enough innovators. We got a lot of people who can tell you what happened to you, but not enough people telling you how you can move forward and what you can do next. And I think so long as we continue to talk backwards, we will stay backwards. We need more forward conversations. Forward conversations brings about change. Forward conversations brings about, community. It brings us together as people. But if I'm constantly talking about what happened, I will continuously disassociate myself and distance myself from everybody else, right? So, for example, Brian Banks went to prison for 5 years, and under 5 years on parole, he was wrongfully convicted of a crime he didn't commit. To this day, he does not trust a damn woman. He don't want nothing to do with women. He don't leave his house because he's afraid of women and, whatever, because Brian just can't get past the past. It makes no sense. But that is any other situation as well. The injustice to black people, the injustice to people of color, the injustice to you as a human being or anybody else around you or things that you've heard of. It's all the same thing. It's one of the subjects that really gets to me because I see a lot of us today who go through things and we don't know how to react to them, we don't know how to deal with it, we don't know what to do about it, and so we result in talking about the past of what happened. That's not going to get you forward. I don't talk too much about what happened to me, unless I'm on stage talking to people. I talk more of and I think more of about what now. I was in jail for something I didn't do, but now I'm here in the weight room and I'm training to try to get a shot at the NFL. I was on parole for 5 years for a crime I didn't commit, but now I am a nationally recognized motivational speaker. I went on to play in the NFL. I have a feature film deal in the works. I got a documentary in the works. I'm writing a book right now. I'm currently shooting a TV show that's going to be about wrongful convictions I'll be hosting next year. This is forward thinking. This is dealing with your grief while still moving forward. This is dealing with hard times while not allowing hard times to stagnate you. You're going to go through a lot of things in life.
Yes.
You will be challenged. But it's not what you go through, it's how you allow it to affect you. Right? So, I just wanted to come and share my story and a bit of how I was able to get through it, because I get that question a lot. How did you not freak out? How did you not flip out? You never know what you go through until you actually experience it. And I'll finish with this because I got a flight and I want to do Q&A because I know you got questions. I'll finish with this, my man. Say me and you in the car, right? We rolling. I'm driving with my passenger. What we listening to? Supposed to be with me, bro. All right, so we rolling. We're in the car, right? We're going about 100 miles an hour on the highway. We get on the highway exit. I'm smashed, right? See a red light. I don't pay no mind to it. The car stops at the red light. Right before we get to crashing into that car, I slam my brakes. Boom. We slide about 100 feet. We stop right behind that car before we hit. One experience, two different reactions. I may completely laugh it off like it ain't nothing. Whatever. Peel off and keep going. You may jump out the car, drop to your knees. Oh God, I'm alive! Thank you, Chief. Oh, go home, kiss the baby, start wearing seatbelts. You can employ you in the morning at work now. You go to church on Sundays, Thursdays, Wednesdays. Your whole life has completely changed because of this one experience. While for me, it had no effect whatsoever. Right? That's what life is all about. It's not the experience. It's how you allow it to affect you. When somebody push up on you or somebody do something that you don't like, they're not causing you to react the way you react. It's you.
Yes.
So my zero tolerance policy is simply deal with life as life comes. Life is like a dirty room, right? When you're a little kid and your mom told you, boy, go in there and clean up your damn room. And you went into the room and you saw how dirty your room was, and instead of cleaning it, you dropped to the floor and you throw this tantrum. I don't want to clean the room. You crying, screaming, tears everywhere. About 20 minutes pass, you finally stop crying. You stand up, wipe your eyes, you look around the room.
Still dirty.
The room's still dirty. Right? You threw this tantrum, you kick, you scream, you cry, you do some other stuff, made it a little bit more dirty, but the room's still dirty. That's life. No matter how your room life is dirty, whether the homies come over and flip the room upside down, whether you ain't cleaned it in a long time, or whether you left the window open and a gust of wind came over and turned everything upside down, however your room is dirty, your life, it's up to you to clean it. You can sit here and you can throw tantrums, and you can kick, and you can scream, and you can rebel, and when you're done, life will still be exactly the way you left it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will work harder for you than you. Thank you.